Well, this is a first for me, and this was a first for Kawasaki. This right here is a 1993 Kawasaki Bayou 400 4x4. She's certainly not going to win a beauty contest, but let me tell you why I bought this thing. So last week my buddy said, hey, we should go four-wheeling sometime, and I said, absolutely, I'll get something ready. And where we go up around his trails, my big machine, the R-Max, doesn't really fit too well. It probably would, but I don't really want to tear it up. So I went to see if I could fix something up quick. I was planning on getting a Grizzly going good enough to go, and I just never had the time to actually work on anything other than everybody else's rigs. So this one happened to pop up for sale, and I went and picked it up last night. It was pretty cheap, 600 bucks, running, driving. The owner didn't know anything about it, I guess, and he was, I don't know. He said basically you have a warranty until the end of my trash can, so you know that leaves you warm and fuzzy. But for 600 bucks, who cares? Four-wheel drive. It's actually in pretty good shape. But yeah, so this was the first year Kawasaki did the Bayou 400. I have not owned one of these yet. This has a 391cc liquid-cooled 4-valve engine, which was supposed to be the largest displacement ATV at the time. So obviously it was aimed at utility. It's got a nice big rear rack on this thing. Every time I look at this, it just reminds me of a Honda 4Trax 300 because it's got the same blue, and the racks are very similar, but it sits really low, you know, just like the 300 4Trax. But basically it's got a 5-speed standard transmission. Well, they call it, you got super low, first, second, third, fourth, so 5-speed and then reverse. It's electric start only, but I was looking it over, or actually the owner showed me this, but which I thought was pretty cool. It has right here a plug, so if you pull this off, you can see where it's got a shaft for you to put a Kickstarter on it. Now they just didn't include the Kickstarter, obviously, but hey, that's pretty cool. You got the option, but there's no recoil on it. That would be the only backup you could have. But yeah, for 600 bucks, it runs and drives. This thing fires up super quick, a little noisy, but I don't think it's anything too serious going on. We got low beam, high beam, they all work. Winch works. The switch is a little iffy, but it works. These look like original tires. I bet they are. They're Dunlop's KT 962s. What are they? 24-inch on the rear, 24-inch on the front, 11-inch rims. Very odd size rim nowadays, but back then they ran them. It's got a similar storage trunk to the Honda, except your rack doesn't actually fold up. This just pulls out, and then you get a nice little deep storage space in there. Oop. I don't know if she's burning a little oil or if it's just because it's cold. It's cold this morning, so we'll see when it warms up, I guess. But yeah, basically I don't know anything about this. I'm gonna bring in the shop, change the oil, and just look it over real quick. And then I don't know if I'll have time to take it around the loop here just to make sure it's gonna last at least till the loop before I take it over to his place or not. But so I'll either do that or I'll go over to his place first. We'll see, but hopefully it lasts, and then we'll do a little test ride review on it. I got her in here, just gonna give it a quick glance over before I, take a decent ride with it. Definitely got a noise in here. I think it's an exhaust leak. It sounds like a head pipe leak. You can see the black around that head pipe. Actually, I can feel it. So it's definitely leaking from there. Might be a little top end noise as well. I don't know. We'd have to put a new gasket on that to actually fix it. But, I mean, she feels fairly tight. It did feel fairly tight. Got a bearing or something going in that one. Something's going on there. You can spin that washer. Probably the nut's loose. Feels tight, but obviously it's not. For the oil, I mean, it was at the right level. It shows a little low now because it's running, but when it wasn't running, the level was right up there. Actually, I can go ahead. She's warmed up now. Yeah, you can see, actually it's over full, I think. Yeah, definitely over full. It should be at that line or below, or it should be between this line and this line when it's cold. And it's actually still got oil dripping down, so it's too full. Probably got some gas in it or something. I'm gonna go ahead and drain that out anyways because it looks pretty black. This is the first thing I do on any machine, even if it's an old junker like this. Definitely black oil, but not in bad shape. Whew, and that smells very, very gassy, so that's what it is. It's over full. So it was probably leaking gas at one time, or maybe it still is. I don't know, but definitely gassy oil. We'll get that drained out, throw some fresh in it, and we'll be good to go, hopefully. But that's the first thing I like to do on any machine. Like I said, even if it's old $600 clunker like this, even if it was a free machine, the first thing I do is change the oil, because you never know how old that stuff is. You never know what somebody just threw in there to top it off. I just like to be sure. We'll come on down here, spin that old filter off. Maybe. There, a Napa filter. Looks to be just about done. We'll put our plug back in. This metal skid plate certainly took a few hits in its day. At least it's metal. All the new machines nowadays are plastic. We'll get our new filter on there. And then we crack that open. While this was draining, I was gonna do the rear axle nut, but it drained pretty quick and I didn't have time. Carefully wipe away all this junk, because there's definitely some dirt on there away from the hole. Beautiful. Nice big hole. Perfect for no funnel. So I'd say we drained, I don't know, probably 3.5, 4 quarts out of there. Maybe not 4, 3.5 quarts. So we got it right on the money right now. It will drop a little bit when I fire it up and it go through the system. We've got about, I put about 2.5 quarts in there, so we'll see. It probably takes around 3 is what it's looking like. Whoa. That. Give her a quick fire up. Well, I think starts right up like a Honda. I think it does have a little valve noise. Hopefully it's valves anyways, besides the head pipe, but you can hear a little chatter in there. Looks like the level did drop a little bit. It was hanging a little bit above there. Now it's down below. Go ahead and shut her off and see where it is. We'll probably have to top it off, but I'll let it sit for a minute here, and then we'll top it off when it all sinks down. Now this thing does have a cotter key in it, so obviously somebody put that in there loose. So just give her a tighten. Tighten her up, see if it is just a loose nut or if there's other issues. It was just loose. Good and tight now. Got our key back in, now we can throw the cap on. We'll come back over. Looks like our level didn't move a whole lot, so we'll have to fill her up. Now we look good. Perfect. Looks like it took 3 quarts right on the money to get it up to that full mark there. So it was a little over full. It says right here oil 3.7 liters, but that's on a completely dry engine, I believe. Well, it makes me a little nervous with the rear tire being so loose. I mean, what else, you know, what else is going on here? But we ain't too worried about it. Everything seems pretty tight. I can't look everything over before this trip. We're headed now, so yeah, that's only thing we got left to do. We probably got to throw some gas in here. Ooh, smells a little old, but she's running pretty good off of it. Little rusty bolts on the cap. That's all right. Thing fires up quick. All right, well, I got time for a quick little test ride here. Let's go ahead, hop on here, start her up. We'll see how she goes. A little cold right now. This thing seems super low geared. So right here, that's neutral. First gear. Just putting along. Of course, it's super low, so technically right now I shifted up into what I call second, but this is first gear. Takes off just fine, so yeah, you could use that as first. It's fourth. That right there is fifth gear. We'll do a top speed run. The GPS should be running. If it is, we'll see how fast she goes down the road. I'm gonna say it's probably not gonna be super quick. Now, this is the first time I rode this thing. This is the only Kawasaki Bayou 400 I've ever had. I've had a 300 4x4, and I didn't have it for very long. That thing was a rough riding machine. But this thing, I don't know, it feels softer. I don't know, maybe the other one was wore out, or maybe these 400s got a little more suspension travel. I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be like anything newer, so I'm not expecting a ton. Already getting bounced around pretty decent, but we'll go ahead and try her out. Hopefully, we make it around the loop so I can take a ride with my buddy. This is all-time four-wheel drive, and I'll tell you what, probably don't need those headlights on. It's got very light steering, surprisingly. Yeah, she's a little rough. It's soft and rough at the same time. Like, the seat's actually very cushiony, surprisingly, but it just seems to be floating a lot. That's probably third gear. Yeah, you put this thing in super low, and you could probably pull whatever you wanted if you got the traction. Let's get onto her a little bit, see how she goes. Okay, so we're coming around that corner right there. That's one thing I noticed with these types of suspensions. This is not an independent, this is a straight axle. However, I don't know what these called. I don't know what Kawasaki called it back in the day. Arctic Cat had a similar setup where you're a straight axle, but you have a floating axle basically. So it is independent to the frame. The rear axle does not just go straight up and down. It does pivot like this. So if we get on a hill, this axle will be tilted, the machine will be straight, but there's a lot of body roll on a setup like this. But yeah, anyways, that's got a pretty beefy rear end in it, bigger than a lot of the ones I've seen. This thing I can't get over it. Yeah, I already would have made it past his trash can there. That trash can warranty, end of my driveway basically. It seems to be running pretty good. So the story behind why he said that, this was his son's machine. He didn't know a lot about it, but he got it, and they went through the carburetor. First trip he went out, he didn't make it 5 minutes, and it just died. No idea what happened. They towed it back to the camp they were at. And then when they tried to start it up again, the next day it fired right up. And they drove it around the house and it didn't have any issues. So that's why, basically why they were saying that there was no warranty. It might run, it might not. Honestly, it seems to be going pretty good right now. Maybe she gets hot. I don't know. It does have a temp light. This is liquid cooled, so it has a radiator up front with a cooling fan. Maybe it got hot. I don't know. But we're gonna try her out. We'll know for sure. I'll probably be gone a couple hours later today. So if I am, that'll be a good test if it makes it on this little test. So try this out, see the traction. I think it'll get pretty good traction with the floating rear end. I don't know what you want to call it. Arctic Cat. I don't know if I actually get. Let's see. A little bit of spin. This thing is really, really low to the ground. The idle on her is a little low, but she is idling. So I think we're gonna have to. Okay, so reverse. I know I'm all over the place. The reverse. This is just like Yamaha. They ran it on the Big Bears. You twist it, you put it down in neutral, you twist this lever right here, and then you kick it down. Now you're in reverse. And then when you want to go back up to first, you just shift it up. It bypasses neutral and goes right to first. Saves a little time. So yeah. Oh, whoa. My rear end just hit that rack. That didn't feel good. All right. So not bad. We got a big clearance issue, or a little clearance issue. She doesn't got very good clearance. See, a machine like this, I don't mind just going at. It's old, it's rough. I don't care if anything breaks on it. I don't mind just heading out in the woods and making new trails, because I mean, what's going to happen to it, If you break it up, break the plastics up, it's not the end of the world. It's a $600 beater. Definitely a little noisy on the top end, but I'm actually very happy with this compared to that 300 I drove. Get a little air there. Oh my goodness. Oh, there she goes. I spoke too soon. Feels like a fuel issue. Nope, that's new. Trees down. Yeah, it sounds like a fuel issue. Gonna idle? Yeah, she's still idling. Maybe there's some gunk in the carburetor floating around, because we hit some pretty good bumps there and might have sucked something up for a minute. We'll see. Nothing that's scaring me yet, like I'm gonna walk back anyways. So yeah, I mean, this is not a bad machine. It reminds me a lot of Honda 300 4-tracks. Like, if you look at it, it's very low, like one of those. I keep mentioning the Honda 4-tracks 300 because they're just a super popular machine. A lot of people like them, and a lot of people know what they are. These Bayous maybe not so much, but it's low. I don't know, the front end, it's pretty ugly in my opinion. I would say it's a cross between a 4-tracks 300 and then maybe a Yamaha Big Bear 350, the older style, like the blue one I have at the house. I don't know. It's ugly. Maybe some people likes the looks of them, but I doubt it. As far as goes, handlebars aren't too bad, other than you're tipped way down. I feel like I'm riding way up here and then leaned way back. These things need to be higher. But for 1993, this was, they claimed, the biggest ATV engine they had at the time out of any manufacturer. See, Big Bear, the Big Bear was a 350 back then. They made a the Kodiak 400 later on. I don't know what year they started that, maybe 95, 96. And then Polaris had the 350L. That thing would smoke this though because it was a 2-stroke, but we'll see how she goes through this. Oh, yeah. Suzuki had a King Quad 300. I think that was the biggest back then for them. Probably should have put my boots on. It's a little swampy through here. We'll see if we get stuck. I know I'm going to hit bottom through that rock pile right there, so I'm not even going to try it. We'll go over here. And we're still, we're still stuck. Yeah, right on the bottom there. That looks like it's going to be a stump catcher. Oh, sinking in. Yeah, should have definitely worn my boots. Well, if we kind of ride in the center of that, oh, we're not going to be able to. This machine has the least amount of clearance. There we go. We'll just bang her off the rock and keep her going. I think this might have the least amount of clearance that I've drove for a four-wheeler in a long time anyways. Very, very low. But you know what? I had to go around this last, where's it? Oh yeah, it's up through there. You know, I don't care. Just run over the stumps. Who cares? Didn't want to turn. Oh, I was falling. That little, there's a stick there. I think this would be, if the exhaust leak wasn't there, it'd be a very quiet engine. And it seems pretty smooth. You know, for 93, a 4-valve overhead cam engine, that was actually pretty high-tech, liquid cooled. For the ATVs anyways. Can't wait to get this on the fast-paced trail, see the test run, see the top speed run, because I think it's going to be very underwhelming. It seems like she's going to be screaming pretty early on. I don't know if it'll reach 50 or not. I doubt it. But you never know. Could surprise me. Now those old, like I was saying, the Polaris, probably back then in 93, the Polaris 350L would have been the fastest 4x4 out there. Those would do pretty close to 60, I would say, if you had enough room to get them going, because those things just kept climbing and climbing. And the 400Ls were even faster, but the 350s did go pretty good. I haven't owned many Kawasaki singles. I've had, you know, the Prairies, the Brute Forces, the 750s, 650s. But this, I was looking at the engine. I know I'm just all over the place, but kind of a unique machine to me. The top end of this looks like a Suzuki engine, in my opinion. The top, like a newer Suzuki, not a newer one, but say 2000s. They ran them in the Arctic Cat 500. They ran the Suzuki engine, the liquid cooled. Looks very similar to that, other than you have dual exhaust ports. So you have dual head pipes basically, going into one and then out the other. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty happy with it. Definitely gonna have to go through the carburetor, but oh, you know, I wonder. Remember how I said this was rusty? Put that on there real tight. What the heck? I wonder if that's the problem. I wonder if... Couldn't hear any. But remember how I said this is rusty? I wonder if rust got in there and it's not allowing it to vent. That would have caused some fuel issues. I don't know. Could be. Anyways. Oh yeah, by the way, this thing has no brakes. So these are front brakes, these are rear brakes. They both, you know, they don't do anything. with this machine, you don't really need it. This is first gear or super low, whatever you want to call it. It's the lowest gear possible on this machine. And to go down this hill, I'm gonna have to give it gas because we're gonna go so slow. This is, I'm riding in fourth gear right now. What I call fourth gear. This is a 5-speed. We'll pick up the pace here and see how she runs. We'll see. Last time I opened her up, she kind of bogged out a little bit, but give her a little test run here. Yeah, it's still a little boggy. That's fifth gear. Now I'm gonna go ahead and try it. If it bogs out when I'm full throttle and I apply the choke, that means we're not getting enough. If it runs better after I apply the choke, that means we're not getting enough fuel. If it runs worse, then we're getting too much fuel. I think it's probably not enough fuel, but we'll see. So, all right, I'll just go ahead and apply the choke right now. Oh, the bridge is getting a little worse. Apply the choke, full throttle. Yeah, it's better like that. So we probably got some gunk in the carburetor. Not a big deal at all. I don't know what speed we're cruising at right here going up this. If I was to guess, I would say probably 25 maybe. And I'm in the tallest gear this has got, fifth gear. We're almost up to the road. If we can make it up to the road, I think we're going to make it home. Alrighty. I'll probably just run full trope. Yeah, I think so. So, let's see, first gear here. Second, third, fourth gear, fifth gear. Wow. That's all she's got. She's screaming. That doesn't look like no 50 miles an hour. I would say probably 40, maybe, probably 40. This thing is super low geared. I'm gonna blow it up if I keep her going. Oh, we got a sled for sale. Back off on that choke. Actually, it's, yeah. So now that I ran full choke and we hammered on her, I can't, I'm barely giving any throttle and it's still bogging out. So we're gonna apply the full choke. Running way better with that. You know what's going on? Maybe the float is set too high, so it's not allowing enough fuel in the float, in the bowl. Maybe, I don't know. Either that or it's just a gunk in the carburetor. But guess what? We made it back. I'm happy with it. She's going for a ride today. Nice. We'll go see if she lasts for another few hours, and $600 well spent. If you happen to see the last video where I tore that Honda Rincon down and it needed a rear CV shaft, I struggled and struggled and struggled, and so I soaked it with oil, the CV shaft, soaked it with oil in there, and I still couldn't get it out. Left it overnight, still didn't want to come out. So as you can see, pulled the rear end out of it. I got it right here, soaking in oil. Hopefully I can get it out now. A little bright out here today. So the test drive I did was yesterday. Went on the ride with my buddy yesterday, Saturday. Today's Sunday. You guys will see this video Sunday. She went good. We went for like 3 hours. Went up the mountain, made some of our own trails, and it did good. Spit and sputtered here and there. I didn't have time to clean the carburetor. I'll do that at some point. But I was impressed with it. She made it home, didn't have to get towed. My buddy knows that I bring all kinds of random stuff over to his place, and he expects to tow me home sometimes, I'm sure. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.